Before we get started, just know that I will stop you if there's any negative comments made about another person, or you start to do anything that's derogatory. I will stop you and you lose your time for that, okay? We're going to start with a 1-minute introduction for everybody, and I am going to start at this end. Okay, are you rolling? So, Mr. O'Connor, Joseph O'Connor, would you like to introduce yourself, give a little bit of information, and say what you're running for?
Good evening. I'm Joseph O'Connor, running for the position of elected constable in the municipality of Penn Hills. I'm a lifelong resident of Penn Hills. I'm retired out of the municipality, 35 years with them. I'm just running for re-election.
Go right ahead. Okay.
My name is Mike Sepelak. I am running for the position of Constable of Penn Hills. I've been a deputy constable this is my 12th year. I've lived in Penn Hills for 61 years. I've raised my family here. I've attended all the schools. My family's attended all the schools. I've been involved in the youth baseball, the youth football. I'm a 3-year veteran of the United States Navy. I served in a World War through the Bay of Pigs and the Cuban Missile Crisis. I owned 2 businesses in Penn Hills at one time. I'm a retired sheet metal worker also, and that's pretty much all I need to say. Thank you.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for being here. My name is Louis Leon. I'm the elected constable here in Penn Hills and have been for the past 20 years. I'm born and raised here in Penn Hills, 1981 graduate of Penn Hills High School. I'm employed by the Allegheny County Bureau of Corrections and have been since 1986. Since then, I've worked my way up through the ranks as corrections officer, corporal, sergeant, lieutenant, to my current position as captain. I have an extensive training background, which enhances me and my ability to carry out the duties of constable. I've worked diligently over the past 20 years as constable, and I'm seeking re-election in November. Thank you very much.
1 second, guys. I forgot to tell you. You're being timed. The ladies sitting over in the table there, Janet and Tyke, are timing, so you have a minute, and when you get within a few seconds, they'll give you like 10 seconds, they'll give you a high sign. If you hear beep, 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 that means you went to the minute and you're done, okay? So I forgot to tell you that, so sorry. Brent, go ahead, please.
Okay, good evening. My name's Brent Rambo. I'm a retired business person. I've owned and operated a business. I was a district manager for 15 years. I was a general manager for a big box retailer for 10 years. I've advised over 200 small businesses around the country. I'm very concerned in the direction that Penn Hills is going, so I decided to run. I keep hearing our officials calling us a bedroom community. We need to bring businesses back to Penn Hills, and if we're going to climb out of the hole that we're digging ourselves into. And we need to expand our base with these businesses. It's time to start thinking out of the box, and what was working then is not working now, and the world is changing, and Penn Hills is stuck in the past. We're going to need everybody to work together, including Democrats, Republicans, and Independents.
That's the dreaded beep. Joe.
Hello, my name is Joe Palumbo. I'm the current councilman, have been for the last 8 years. I have lived in Penn Hills for 50 years. My family and I have always been very active in the community, serving in many volunteer positions, working on a variety of nonprofit projects. I am also a member of the Tri-Rivers Clown Alley, which stages performance to benefit many charities. On February 28, 2006, I retired from UPS after 30 years of service. I was inducted into the UPS Circle of Honor for 25 years safe driving with the company. I was also an active alternate union steward, a driver trainer, a member of the safety committee. I am married and have 5 children to Nancy. I have 4 grandchildren with 1 on the way.
He's waiting for the beep. Okay? Okay, Mr. DeSantis.
Hello, I'm Bill DeSantis. I was your mayor before, and I'm trying to become your mayor again. I'm married, I have a daughter with 3 grandchildren, been a Penn Hills resident for 40 years, honorable discharge from the Army. I'm a retired investment advisor. I was a former controller, was heavily involved with my church. I taught CCD there. I've been involved in many civic activities at the Veterans Monument, all our sports teams. I'm still a member of the Allegheny County Department of Aging and have been for years on the advisory council. I became mayor when Penn Hills was labeled a criminal community, and we had to go through a lot of stress and strain to get that straightened out, which we did. I think that lately I've got the opinion of no one's paying attention, and I think Penn Hills needs some attention again, and I'd like to give it that. Thank you.
Anthony?
Good evening. First, I want to thank Merle Thompson and the PTA for holding this candidates night. My name is Anthony DeLuca, and I'm running for Magisterial District Judge of Penn Hills, Wilkins, and Verona. In Pennsylvania, the office of Magisterial District Judge is known as a minor court because it is the first level of our state's judicial system. It's also known appropriately as the People's Court, since citizens are far more likely to have contact with the District Justice Office than they are with the courts downtown. I'm a graduate of Robert Morris University with a degree in accounting and a master's in taxations. I have more than 20 years of experience as an auditor, ensuring compliance with laws, regulations, and policies of various state institutions and school districts. I have the honor of serving as the mayor of Penn Hills for the last 12 years. Okay. In this position, I work closely with the chief of police, making sure that the safety of our residents was assured and that those who violate the law were prosecuted.
Thank you, Anthony.
All right.
John?
I am John Petrucci. I'm also running for Magisterial District Judge of Penn Hills, Wilkins, and Verona. I have 30 years of law enforcement. I'm also the only candidate that's certified by the Supreme Court to hold this position. My background consists of, I was a constable. I worked my way up into North Braddock PD. I was working for the Attorney General's office. I became an instructor at the North Park Police Academy and put 20 years in with the Allegheny County Sheriff's Office. And I went on the Republican ticket, but I'm a lifelong Democrat. Thank you.
Okay, gentlemen, thank you very much. The next process we will be doing is you are going to randomly pick a question from the containers we have that are labeled with what you're running for, the office you're running for. Before we do that, I'm going to ask a general question of each of you to answer, just to get some common ground going. So I'm going to start, since we started at this end this time, I'm going to start with you, John. Why are you running for the office of Magisterial District Judge? And what strengths will you be able to bring with you?
Well, being the only candidate that's certified by the Supreme Court to hold this position, and with the 30 years of law enforcement that I have, the experience and knowledge that I carry with me will help me in that position. I also have worked in the civil end of it, the landlord-tenant in the sheriff's office, knowing the Title 75, which is the vehicle code, Title 18 is the crimes code, and such gives me the upper end on having that position in the Magisterial District Justice Office.
Thank you. Anthony, same question. You want me to repeat it?
Yeah, real quick.
Why are you running for the office of Magisterial District Judge, and what strengths will you bring with you?
Okay. The reason why I'm running for Magisterial District Judge is because I want to continue to serve my community. I feel my strengths are my life work as an auditor, auditing various institutions, researching laws, making sure the institutions are following those laws, policies, and procedures. I also feel that my 12 years as mayor of Penn Hills will help me in the magistrate's office, because as mayor, I have heard the complaints of Penn Hills. I know the code enforcement issues that come before us and that we hear. I feel as a magistrate I can better our community by making sure those ordinances are enforced, especially for code, to make sure our communities do not suffer.
Okay. Mr. DeSantis, same question. Why are you running for the office of mayor, and what strengths will you be able to bring with you?
I'm running for the office of mayor. I've held this seat before, and at a very trying time. And I feel those years that I spent there, we were charged with what we call a criminal community. It was a very ecumenical position. No Democrat or Republican to be blamed. It was a mixture of everyone. I had to speak on this throughout the entire community, on how to get this done. And I see things happening, and I feel like no one's paying attention anymore. Continuous refinancing of bond issues. We were forced to do that. Declared a surplus. I see money being spent for a new municipal building. I think they should be spent for the roads and not just at election time all the time. I think that we should step out now with a strong police force. I was shocked that after 10 years being out of office, the news media came to me and asked my opinion on a police car that was one of our officers was murdered in, was being offered at auction on eBay, and I thought it was disgraceful. I just think that no one's paying attention, and I'd like to pay attention again.
Thank you very much. Okay, Joe, same question. Why are you running for the office of council, and what strengths will you be able to bring with you?
I'm running for the office of council once again because I feel that this community is still moving forward. We've done a lot of work on council over my last 8 years, and I'd like to continue that work in the future. Some things like he said, we're going to want to build a new building. That's on the table. We've got regionalization of Elkasan that's going to be on the table coming in the future. I want to be a part of all of that. Gary Underwood and I both have sat on Three Rivers wet water committees, and we know what's going on, and we don't want our residents in Penn Hills to have to pay for everybody else's sewer systems. And that's coming up.
Okay, thank you. Brent?
Well, I'd like to make a positive change here in Penn Hills. We don't have anybody with a business background on council, and I think businesses are sorely needed here in Penn Hills. And we've got to broaden our tax base because all the homeowners are paying the price for the school mismanagement and possibly this new municipal building. And we just can't do it the way Penn Hills is sitting. We need to have more businesses, and I know how to bring them in here.
Okay, thank you. The next three gentlemen are all running for the office of constable. So the question is for you, why are you running for the office of constable, and what strengths will you bring with you?
I've been the constable out here for the past 20 years, and my goal was to bring the respect into that office. When I first took office, I was the only one certified to complete the task as constable. I walked in with over 3,000 outstanding warrants that were untouched, resulting in hundreds of thousands of dollars owed to the municipality of Penn Hills. I quickly realized the task ahead of me. I've hired 5, cancel that, I've hired 6 Penn Hills residents, deputized them as deputy constable to help me perform that task. We were able to close that deficit in the first 6 years of my term, and we were able to do that by treating people with respect. And I'd like to continue to serve this community because I'm affected by it, and I raised a family in it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Again, I'm starting my 12th year. I can't wait to get up in the morning to do this job. I absolutely love it. The community it's my community. I just want to protect the people of the community and just work as hard as I can. And I believe I'm the only constable, deputy constable that is actually available 24/7. And I've never turned down any kind of assignment. Thank you.
Thank you. Go ahead, Joe.
I'm running for re-election for constable out of stupidity, I think.
Joe, I think you want to get votes.
The gentleman on the far end of this table,
Yeah, I interrupted. He gets no more time.
the gentleman on the far end of the table, Mr. Petrucci, told me when I got elected to this position, he says, you're going to really see the true Penn Hills. as a constable in that court. And believe me, he was correct. We interact with a lot of people, good and bad. And we try to treat them all the same and fair. So I'd like to keep doing that. It's interesting.
It's interesting. Thank you for that perspective. You do, I agree. Okay, real quick, I did not plug PTA, I apologize. This Meet the Candidates Night is being brought to you by the Penn Hills PTA Council. We do this as a community service. We feel that the people in Penn Hills should know who's running and what their platform is. So we are glad to do this. We have with us tonight our technical video production gentleman from the high school. And can I have your name, please? Matthew? Andrew. Marizell. Thank you. I should know this. We've emailed, but you know. I'm getting there too, guys. I'm over 60, so memory's allowed to forget. We do hope to have this on, he plans on putting this on Channel 98 within the next few days. So those of you who get the cable, Channel 98, are we talking Comcast or Verizon? Comcast. What about us Verizon people?
I heard rumors of things, and that was the last I heard, so
Okay.
possibly getting something with that. But
Okay. All right. Check the website every so often, because I believe there is also a website that wants to put this out there. So please check the Penn Hills School District website in the next few days to see if we've been able to accomplish that too. Okay, that was a commercial. At this point, I'm going to ask Joseph to please take a question. What's going to happen? Go ahead, take one and go ahead and read it, but don't answer yet. What's going to happen now is he's going to take his question, read it, and while he formulates his answer, once he starts speaking, then Michael, you're going to take the question and you're going to do your answer in your mind while he's answering. It's going to go that way down the line. That particular bowl is only going to the 3 of you that are running for constable. As soon as we get to Lewis, we're going to come down with a bowl that's for the council candidates, and then we have a mayor, and then we have the magisterial district judge. And I do cheat every time I say that. I have a cheat sheet, because Lenny's sitting to my right, and he's going to hit me if I get it wrong. So I make sure that I do my cheat sheet. Slightly. Okay. Joseph, you read yours. You have, again, we're going with a minute, gentlemen. So it'll be the same sign when you get to 10 seconds, and then that beep, 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 beep when you get to a minute. Okay, Joseph, go right ahead. What's your question, please? Read it for everybody.
The question is, how is a constable paid?
You need to put your microphone on, please. There you go.
Question is, how is a constable paid? We're paid through Allegheny County court system. The fees are all set and regulated by the Commonwealth through state legislation. We turn a fee sheet in, we get paid. We're paid on different categories of time, which I think they ought to raise, Judge. But that's basically where our fees are set. There's nothing we can do about it. They're set by the state.
Good to know. Okay, Michael? Lewis, hold on one second. Did you get a question?
I did.
Okay.
My question is, explain your job. The job of the constable or deputy constable is to serve the court of Penn Hills, which ranges in many categories like security of the courtroom, transporting prisoners, serving warrants, whether it be civil, traffic, non-traffics, and just more or less keeping the peace and following the instructions of the court. That's basically what we do.
I have a question here. It says, how many outstanding violations are there today? I'm not quite sure exactly what they mean by violations.
Might be referring to what you said in your introduction of how many outstanding warrants there were when you came in.
There are probably literally hundreds of outstanding warrants in the magisterial district office at the moment. We have a personnel issue in the office. So the amount of warrants that were produced were diminished because of the overwhelming caseload that district court has. And because we were short a secretary, we were unable to print out the warrants that they have in the office, but there are probably hundreds.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Joseph Palumbo should not be reading yet. Keep yours folded. Brian, go ahead and read your question out loud. You have a minute, and as soon as he's ready to start answering, Mr. Palumbo, you can pick. Gentlemen, please do me a favor. Whatever question you're reading, leave it in front of you. Don't put it back in the bowl yet, okay? Because you're going to have another go around. Okay.
What projects do you have for your youth recreation? I think working with a school, I'd like to see them bring back junior achievement, an after-school type program, which when I was a youngster, long time ago, that was a very, very valuable tool. And even getting kids more involved in the political. We had the teenage Republicans and the teenage Democrats after school. To my understanding, we're not allowed to do that in schools anymore, which doesn't seem right because we have kids coming out of school that have no clue of anything about politics. You know, how a campaign is run, you know, let alone getting them to vote. So, as far as recreational things, that's all I could think of right off the top of my head.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Palumbo?
Do you agree with the requirements that speak before council, one must request so in writing and approval in writing to be received? I would say yes, you do. Should have approval from council, okay? Although a lot of times we do, people get up and speak periodically about different subjects. And, you know, we've done this in the past, and I'm sure we're going to keep on doing it in the future. They come up very, and just, you know, if you come up with a bunch of people in the council chambers and they start asking a bunch of questions, council could last all night. So we should have a pretty good idea of what you want to talk about before you get there.
Okay, thank you. I had to change the name on this one to Magisterial District Judge.
Is there any chance for any kind of rebuttal or?
No.
No.
This is simply you do your question and you give the answer and that's it. Okay? You're going to have another question though, so don't worry.
Okay.
Okay, Mr. DeSantis, you can go ahead and read yours, please.
What are your ideas for bringing in new businesses to Penn Hills and for increasing population? Well, increasing population, I believe that would be to each and every married couple in their own time. But for bringing in new businesses, I think you have to make people aware of the location of Penn Hills, the value you get for your dollar when you buy a home here, how convenient we are to all other areas of the county, the town, the airports with the parkway close by, the turnpike, and the fact that we'll be amenable to working with them. And there probably would be something in the future, maybe deal with some type of a tax formula or a tax alleviation to get people started, at least for a temporary period of time.
Okay, thank you. The next office we're going to be having questions for is the Office of Magisterial District Judge. Anthony.
How do you become certified to become a magisterial district judge? The only qualifications for a district judge is you have to take a 4-week course up in Harrisburg and then pass the test at the end of the 4-week course. During that time, they teach you various procedures about civil law, criminal law, landlord-tenant, search warrants and seizures. So the course is really intense. They pack it in. It's from 8 to 4:30 for 4 weeks. Now, if I'm successful November 3rd, you know, I'm already registered for the November 9th class, and I will be heading up to Harrisburg to take that course.
Okay, thank you. John.
The question is, if a candidate wins the election and is not certified by the Pennsylvania Supreme Court, what happens? Well, we'll have to go to class like Anthony just said. You'll have to go to class and get certified. It's a 4-week class, correct? And it's a mini bar exam, okay? You have a 4-hour test at the end. You have 4 essays, 100 questions, and you have to pass it. The passing rate is 70%. If you fail the test, you have to take the test over again. You get 3 times till you take the take the test, then you have to take the whole class over again. And the class consists of, like I said, it's like Anthony said, it's 8:30 to 4:30 Monday through Friday, and you stay up in Harrisburg at the Radisson Inn. That's the required hotel that they give you. And yeah, it's a tough course, and you have to keep on taking it over and over and over again. If you do not pass the class, then the governor will eventually appoint somebody.
Okay, good to know. All right, we are going to do round 2, and this time, since I started with Joe a couple times already, I'm going to start with the Office of Counsel. So Brent, if you would take a question, and I'll give you a second. I just want to let you know our Vanna White for tonight is Jay Mara. She is the one who's being nice enough to walk all the questions back and forth for us, so I want to give her some kudos. So, Brent, are you ready?
Yes. What is the total cost for the new municipal building, including the tear down of the Penn Hills School building, the new municipal building, and the tear down of the old municipal building? And was the project approved with consent of the taxpayers? From everything I've been to the council meetings, pretty much everything is a guesstimate. I've heard from 11 million to 15 million. I heard that at first there would be no new taxes, and then I heard that possibly there will be taxes. I have not heard one thing about how much the demolition of Penn Hebron is going to cost, and it has not been approved by the taxpayers, just by council. And I'm not in favor of it.
Thank you, Brent. Joe, while you're reading, I'm going to let the mayor know he can take another one out of his and get ready.
What is your position on fracking in our community? And what will you do to ensure no fracking takes place in Penn Hills? Well, fortunately, in 2011, we foresaw already that fracking was going to happen, so we designated an area for fracking. It was the old cement plant, so we didn't have to worry about that, people coming in and just fracking anywhere. We designated an area in 2011, so we had the foresight back then to do it.
Good to know. Okay, Mr. DeSantis, running for mayor.
Would you consider an alternate plan to, am I on here? Would you consider an alternate plan to save the municipal building? Yes, I would. I don't have any, I really don't have any in mind right now, but as I said before, I wasn't in favor of getting new, but I understand that this, the other building has already been purchased. So then you get back to what's the expense, what's it gonna be, and as Brent said, there's guesstimates, there's really no number on that yet. But I think it could have been, I think it could have been saved. I don't think, I would not have been in favor of spending money on a new one, or demolishing the new building and then building a new one and demolishing the old one. So I just don't have a plan in mind, but I certainly would consider one. I don't know if it's, I think it may be a moot point at this time, since I believe a new building's already been purchased.
Okay, thank you. Anthony, running for magisterial district judge.
With a salary of $83,000 a year, how many hours will you be open for court, and what other duties will your job entail to justify the salary? The hours of the municipal court would be from probably 9 to 5. You know, with that, I mean, you're hearing a lot of cases. You'll hear criminal cases that come before you. I know one day you'll have truancy issues with the school district, and you'll have your civil matters come before the magistrate. So pretty much, when you're hearing those cases, you got to listen to the facts. Make sure you get enough information to make a reasonable decision, based on the facts. As for what else, like a magistrate can do, just working with the community with the school district, especially with truancy issues. Is that it? Okay.
He's on a roll. Okay, John.
How would you deal with school children and chronic discipline problems? Well, I would get them probably after they've been cited. And with that, we could do some type of alternative sentencing, such as washing fire trucks, picking up litter, but all this has to be approved by the president judge. We'll get him involved with this, some type of alternative program, so that these kids can take some type of responsibility for their actions. They have to learn responsibility for their actions. It's not right to have the parents pay the fine and cost for a child that has done something to warrant a citation, and them not learn anything from this. So we're going to have to teach them responsibility, and we're going to have to go out. See, like I said, I can get with the president judge, Judge Manning. I can open a line of communication with him because I've worked with him and his son before, and get this dialogue rolling where we can get something in place to have some type of alternative. So, thank you.
Thank you very much. We're going to go back down now to our constables, and Joseph, you're going to start, please.
What are the state requirements for constable? Initially, you have to take 80 hours of training to get certified, and then 40 hours of firearms training to be certified to carry a firearm. Other than that, there are no requirements. Just got to go through the training.
After the 80 hours, there's no test? No test you have to take after?
It's a test after every block of training.
Okay, thank you. Michael?
My question is, do constables work 20 or 40 hours a week? Is this only a Monday through Friday job? It is for me because I am retired. I have the time to put into 40 hours and more if I have to. Some constables have other jobs to support their family, and that's understandable. So we do what we can do with the hours that are available to us, and then that's how we work it. Thank you.
Thank you. Lewis?
Thank you. My question is, how many years can you serve as a constable? Well, the elected term is 6 years. There is no cap on constable, unlike some positions where I believe it's 68 years old. There is no age limit for this facility or this office. However, you got to take into consideration what you're dealing with in society today with this younger group of offenders coming up. You better be ready for that. Unlike 30 years ago, the criminal element was middle age and petty larceny stuff. Now today they're shooting at you, they're fighting the police and everything else. So you can serve as long as you can do it, but at some point I believe you should take a good look at yourself. Thank you.
Good point. Okay, gentlemen, you've all had 2 questions tonight, plus the general one I gave you. So now it is time for you to, once again, sell yourself. We're going to give you 2 minutes now. 2 minutes, ladies. To do any sort of conclusion. Again, you won't have any comments about other people or any negative type comments. That this is your 2 minutes to sell yourself and tell people why they should vote for you on November 3rd. And we're going to start all the way down with John this time.
Well, with my 30 years experience in law enforcement and working for a North Bryan police officer and a sheriff's office, I've acquired a great amount of knowledge. That being in civil, being in Title 18, the Crimes Code, or Title 75, the Vehicle Code. As I stated before, for the sheriff's office, I did a lot of civil work, so I'm very familiar with Landlord-Tenant Act of 1951. And everything that has to go with it. The only difference between what I did and what Judge Romiak's doing now is the time constraint, I guess, on the service of the process. So with that, and the certification from the Supreme Court that I've obtained in June, I believe I'm your right candidate for this position. And I would think in November that you would pick the candidate and not the name. And thank you.
Again, I want to thank Merle Thomas and the PTA for tonight's meeting. Tonight, for a magisterial district judge, you have two choices, one with law enforcement experience and the other one with political experience. And what I have to say is, like, I'm going to stand on my record and the experiences that I have learned for these past 12 years as mayor will help me with the magistrate's office. When I first became mayor, by working with the police department, we were down 10 officers. We got the police force back up to the full rank complement. Now that we're doing good financially, we increased the police force by 3 officers. And we moved 3 officers to narcotics, because one of the things my administration has always been is big on public safety. We want to make sure our citizens are safe, and and that's what we did. And the word's getting out there with the narcotics squad. They're out there making buys. They're busting these people, and the word's getting out there to stay out of Penn Hills. From 2009 to 2013, the crime reports, on the 4 major categories, they are going down. And it's from the stuff that my administration has done. We also eliminated financial deficit, a structural deficit for Penn Hills. We got Penn Hills on solid footing now. We also got Penn Hills out of the federal consent order, which cost the taxpayers millions of dollars. We fixed them. We got Penn Hills under administrative consent order, what everyone else in Allegheny County is facing. We also work with code enforcement.
Okay, Mr. DeSantis for mayor, please.
As I had spoken before, when I took over as mayor, it was considered a criminal community. The consent decree was there. We were told you have 3 years, you're going to spend this money. And I remember doing the 12 years to get rid of that consent decree. My associates on council worked very hard. It was very time consuming, and it was very strenuous to do what we had to do, but we had to do it, and we got that done. It was not a criminal community when I left office. Our bond rating was the highest. I attracted, and still we lost no services to the community. No services were sacrificed. We were able to attract grants from the federal and state government, over $1 million for the Jefferson Heights Bridge. We had some sewage grants, the left turn lane down on Allegheny River Boulevard and Sandy Creek. I don't hear of any of these anymore. I would pursue that very heartily again. I think that they should be involved. And one thing I would do is, as far as stabilizing rates, that $15 service fee every quarter on the sewage thing, to me, that penalizes low-end users. Most of them in our community are seniors, and I would work hard to get that removed some way. We had that on when we first started with this thing, but we were all new. This was the first time a municipality was called a criminal community, and we got rid of that. But we had that on, we eliminated it. I see it's back. I do all my part to get rid of that, to help our seniors out, and to work for the betterment of the community in every way I can. Thank you.
I would like to thank Merle Thomas and the PTA for holding this candidate tonight. This is true democracy at work. Let me say something real quick about the consent decree. We got out from underneath the consent decree in 2008. The municipality now has a AA bond rating, which they did not have before under the old administration. This rating shows that the municipality is financially stable. The municipality has been able to lower attorney's fees on the average of $1 million over the last 10 years. That is a lot of money saved for the taxpayers. The library that we built came in on budget. The new municipal building, we had a crew of people that came through who were opposed to the municipal building. They went through the building with an engineer. At the end of their walk, they said to the manager, "You need a new municipal building." The earthquake cracked the front of the building. The foundation is not supportive of the building. You have asbestos in that building. You cannot put people in one end of the building and work on the other end of the building. The cost to put people into an office, move all the logistics, is just way too much. That estimate is, they're telling us it's about $8-9 million just for that estimate alone. And you still have the old shell. You don't have a green building. You will save money on the green building with your energy. I would say something was mentioned about the police car. The police car was bought, or was under in a pound for a couple years until Officer Crawshaw's situation was settled.
Thank you,
Then
Mr.
that
Palumbo.
door
The ding
went
ding
to
ding's done.
a memorial fund
Okay,
down in
thank
Washington,
you.
D.C.
Thank you very much. Brent?
Okay. I don't know how many of you have been to a council meeting. They're usually short, except here since the election has been coming up, they've been pretty long, which is nice to see. But it seems like everything is discussed behind closed doors. I don't hear the positives and the negatives, of the pros and cons of these different issues. They read a little paragraph, and then they ask if there's any questions from the audience. Well, you don't know what the pros and cons are to be able to formulate a good question. So we need to open up council. We need to make it, we could put a time limit where the people run Penn Hills, not council. And the people, if they want to speak, give them 5 minutes when they raise their hand. If there's a group of people, give that group, tell them to pick one person to speak, like other councils do, and give them 10 minutes to speak. But we've got to hear input from our people. And the other thing is, I wanted to say there's no real difference in the local community between a Democrat, Republican, or an independent. We all want the same things. We want low taxes. We want our property values to increase every year. We want a safe place to live for ourselves and our children. We want great schools. We want good roads. We want our roads cleared in the wintertime. And hopefully we have a place to shop and eat. And I do know how to bring businesses here. I would go to the corporate headquarters, get in front of the decision maker, whoever we decide is the person, and sell Penn Hills until we got them here. Thank you.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, I too have 30 years in law enforcement experience. I have several certifications, including instructor certifications. I have an extensive training background, which enables me to perform the duties of constable, of which I've been working diligently for the past 20 years. I love this community, I love the people in this community, and I'd like to continue to keep it safe. Thank you very much.
Okay, again, like I said, I've been deputy constable for going on my 12th year. I absolutely love my job. I feel that I can give another 6 years with no problem at all. I do all the aspects of what comes out of the courts in all kind of warrants and civils and levies, execution sales. I also, like I said, I'm available 24/7. I have Wilkins Township, Verona Police, and the Penn Hills Police calling me all hours of the night to transport prisoners, which I do. I've never turned it down, no matter what time. Most of them are after midnight. I had a call Monday night at 9 o'clock to go to Punxsutawney, pick up someone and bring them back. I did. So I just feel that I'm qualified and I'm able to do the job, and that's where I'm at. Thank you.
Joseph?
Yes, thank you. Merle, thank you for hosting this. Moderating it or whatever. Thank everybody for showing up for this session. For those who are going to watch it on television, thank you. please consider the vote November the 3rd. Vote for whoever you think is going to be the best candidate for the position. For once, we have more than one candidate for some positions, which is very unusual. We have problems getting people to run for offices at Penn Hills. So I think it's a good sign you have some competition and let the people decide. And I appreciate your vote on November the 3rd. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. I'd like to thank all of you for being here tonight. I do want to let you know our timers are Jan DeLucia and Tyke Better's Price. And MJ Gould was the one who took your questions in the back. And I am Merrill Thomas. Nobody else would want to be. We are very appreciative of a supportive community such as Penn Hills. I do want to let you know that I heard from Sarah Kuhn and Dawn Kuhn, and they are both involved in a medical situation tonight. So I was promised I wouldn't share any details, but they are not here because of a medical situation that came up. So please know that they are both still running, and you'll be voting for more than one of some of these positions. So when you look at the ballot, you may not be restricted to just one vote. So please do pay attention, watch it on TV again, tell your friends, watch the website of the school district to let you know for sure where we're showing this. And gentlemen, I wish all of you the best of luck on November 3rd. Thank you.